Hello,
Hello, everyone.
and welcome to our seventh,
It's called a webinar.
webinar, but I was trying to say traditional,
It's traditional.
starting to be.
7 is a lucky number.
Yeah, let's hope so. We have a couple of news for you from this week.
4 of them.
Just some quick updates, some nice novelties that we're working on.
Some developments.
So quite a few interesting topics. And for those... Okay, I think we're back on now. This looks a bit better.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay,
The internet here can be a bit flaky, unfortunately. There are quite a few people in the main hallway with their phones and laptops and everything. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
the
crowd
Wi-Fi
today.
is probably going to be a bit crap today.
Yeah, but we'll pull through.
Exactly.
So, what should we start with?
I think, just in case, if the stream wasn't working before, we should talk about the format again, just in case, which is you guys ask questions, we'll answer them, anything related to Mix Analog, and while we wait for the questions, we'll go through a few novelties and new things that have been happening around our company and Mix Analog. So, with that out of the way, what should we talk about first, really?
Well, let's dive into the tube testing stuff.
All right, let's do that. Yeah. So on the sixth webinar last week, we have talked about how we want to make sure that the quality of the gear is going to go up. So that it will be more dependable, the stereo matching will be better, and all of those other things that, of course, everyone wants out of analog over the internet solution. So since quite a few items in our arsenal are tube-based, tubes are very important to the quality of the devices that we have. So in order to make sure that you guys get the best kind of experience using Mix Analog, we had to go the extra mile, so to speak.
Well, yeah, it was kind of the only way to actually go about that.
Yeah.
Because with so much tubes in our gear and more tube gear coming, we had to find a way somehow to keep the quality up and to make it running as smoothly as possible. So we don't want to take a certain processor offline for, 3 days just to figure out what tube is causing the problem by swapping and trying different stuff.
And it can take up to 14 days to get a new tube from, say, the United States, if that's where some of the original tubes like RCAs and so on are usually coming from. So if we need a new tube, then it can take 3 days of troubleshooting and 14 days just to get delivered. That's a lot of downtime. So that's why we figured we'd do things a bit better from now on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, actually, I was just trying to answer a question or remark by Charaka, which is about Pultex. We actually have a pair of them online, and they are a part of Rec 1. To kind of weave into this topic of tubes. Actually, it was the Pultex and the Fairchild that made us consider to get our own tube testing equipment and start measuring stuff, because the stereo balance was going off more and more, and it came to a point that we have to do something about it. So and the Pultex are the ones that are getting the new set of tubes first.
Exactly. So we have now already taken them off for just a few hours, I believe yesterday. Yeah. And this is the machine that we built ourselves to test the tubes with. It connects to the computer, and it reads the tube characteristics that you put in, and then there are various knobs to control the way that the tube is tested. We don't only just test the tube for is it good or is it bad, but it actually measures all the in-between state, so to speak. So it can tell you this tube is 80% good or 70% good.
Yeah,
So,
and it helps much with stereo matching because we can select two tubes that have very similar gain. So in a similar situation, especially in the circuits with very little negative feedback, this can be quite a deciding factor on how good the stereo matching is going to be.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to say?
I think,
I remembered.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go for it.
Where credit is due. The device that's actually the brain of this tube tester is this guy here, and it's called U-Trace or Microtrace. I don't know what was
let's call it U-Tracer.
Yeah. And, so there I don't know exactly what
it's if you do want to make one yourself to test your own tubes, then the page to go to is dosforever.com.
I'll just try and find it.
Yeah, okay. So it's they say it's a small but powerful tube tester, a tube curve tracer, and this is the machine that we built from the design of these guys, and so far it's behaving really well. We've got the information that we wanted, so it's priced very well. So for what you get, I believe you get a really good device, and this is actually one of the ECC 83, so 12AX7 tubes from a Poltec. No, actually this one is from an LA2A, I believe, since it doesn't have the P suffix, I think. But anyway, you can see here there are quite a few lines, and these lines tell us how healthy a tube is, especially the black line, which is then grid voltage 0 volts, right? This one tells us how much current passes through the tube at 0 volt, 0 grid voltage.
Yeah.
Right. And the more the tube is used, the less current. Yes, exactly. You will get. I'm not an electronics engineer by far, so bear with me.
So just for instance, this is
an almost healthy tube, right?
Yeah, this one is still pretty okay.
Yeah.
And this one is dying out.
This one is definitely not good. So we need to replace those. Now, this one is from the LA2A, from one of the 2 channels. So this one isn't on mix analog quite yet. We're preparing for that, and as part of trying to figure out how to operate the tube tester and what kind of positive influence it will bring. We tested those tubes as well, and we were surprised actually to find out that quite a few of them are not
performing
exactly like we wanted. So, crisis averted.
Yeah.
Before we ran into those kinds of problems, before even putting the LA2A online, we already know we have to change a few tubes, which is great. We got a new question about the analog summing. If it will be online soon. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case right now. We have made the analog summing device, but currently we think that the mastering kind of use case has still quite a few devices that we would like to put out first before we go with the analog summing thing. So in particular, that will be the tube saturation unit, I believe also the LA2A, and probably more units by Better Maker and Telesia, and hopefully some other people that I don't know if we are allowed to speak about yet. Maybe not. Let's keep it for the next webinar. Hopefully.
There is. We have quite a lot of candy in store for you.
Oh yes, especially if you like mastering, then you will be very happy with what we have in the store, I think.
So maybe to finish answering the question, analog summing is coming eventually. but there's a lot.
This year, I'd like to do it
Yeah.
like end of summer at the latest, if possible. He's suffering already.
I'm just thinking about it. We have to get another set of many channels of conversion.
Yes,
That's
there are challenges to address.
So yeah, we wish to get it online as soon as possible, but we'll see how that turns out.
Hopefully, the sooner the better. I agree. The more machines online, the better for you guys. The price won't change of a subscription or anything, so you're just gonna have a better time. I hope. All right, so about the tube tester, I think we covered most of it. Like, yeah, it works, it's built, we've tested it, we found out our first kind of info about it. I mean, like first sort of like good feedback, like where we know, okay, we thought these tubes are okay, but no, they're actually dying, and then okay, these tubes look like brand new, but actually they're not, and so on. So now we're better equipped to handle tubes and tube aging, and we hope to test our tubes in all the equipment once every 2 weeks or so that we can see how they age, and hopefully won't have that dreaded 14-day downtime because of a dead tube or something. So we can say, okay, it's gonna die in the next month. Let's order new tubes.
So prevention instead of trying to fix it when it breaks down.
Exactly.
Okay, so maybe to continue in this more, let's say, technical and electronics space, or how to say, our in-house electronics designer, Mr. Elvis, actually surprised us with this.
Yeah. So it's a PCB, so controlled electronic circuit board.
Yeah.
Printed circuit board. A design that we are going to get printed quite soon, and it's been made for the audio destruction unit. So, we guys have been talking about it before. The audio destruction unit has been in the making for quite some time, and now we can finally show some progress on that. So there is now I think this is the last of the PCBs that we need to make it work. So, and there are actually quite a few improvements on this one compared to the previous ones. This one can accept different kinds of relays. So we can see which kind of relay works best with a certain circuit or budget. So if the pesky automobile manufacturers buy up all of one kind of relay, then we can get something else.
Yeah,
and,
we've had
still not break the bank.
Yeah, quite a few problems sourcing relays at normal prices. We've had quite a few bad experiences
with Chinese,
from China. So
no offense if you're Chinese, but your salespeople are ripping us off.
That's kind of this is the latest development in putting our tube saturation unit online. And for those who maybe missed our last webinar when we talked a little bit more about it, it's going to be a the Red 47 inspired saturator, so EF86 tubes inside, and parallel mix, mid-side encoding with separate controls for both mono channels. So sonically it's in the ballpark of, let's say, black box or culture voucher, but with much more flexibility. So it's going to be a really fun toy.
Those are tough words, but I think we have the hardware to prove it. And the best thing with it is that, as with other gear, when we put it online, it will be free for a few weeks. So you'll be able to use that, compare it to your plugins and even hardware, and see if you would be using this instead.
Yeah, well,
I have high hopes.
Maybe this is a nice little internal story about deciding about how if to put this unit online or not.
Yeah.
Was
And
we actually found a mastering and mixing engineer that was a partner of the company. His name is Matej Gobac, who owns the black box HG2 unit, or I don't know what H1.
It's something like that. Yeah.
So, and we knew that a lot of people are really raving about this black box. It's really they kind of nailed that sweet, very subtle saturation for mixed bus purposes. So yeah, we just thought about giving our unit a spin and just comparing it to the famed black box. And after some knob twiddling, I was, to be honest, very, very surprised at how our own unit fared. So if at first I was a bit skeptic, now I can't wait to get it online because I know I'm going to use it for my productions. So.
So maybe long story made short,
Yeah.
we are all, human, so we all have our own preconceptions of what sounds good and what not, and the best way to do it is to have a shootout, try a few things. You might get surprised. We did. So even though at first when we evaluated this unit, we were like, okay, I was happy with it, Ziga not so much, but then eventually we got around to testing it, and then we found out that it can hold its own. You just have to twist the knobs differently than you're used to on those units because they have a built-in dry-wet control.
That was the thing that actually made it for me. That when I was trying it just as a simple insert, it was too much too fast
for a bus compressor.
For
situation.
Stereo bus usage. But with the parallel control, with the parallel mix, it's a whole different story. You can really use it very creatively, very subtly, and that really made it for me.
That's cool to know. So yeah, I guess that's it about the audio destruction unit. It's on its way. There's been progress made, so now all of the control circuits are done. They need to get printed, and then we'll get cracking on actually wiring it all up and putting it on mixed analog.
Yep.
Can't wait to do that. And I think, that's it about the ADU. We don't have any more questions right now, so
maybe
I'll
just a quick summary about the Elysia Q because Charaka is still asking about it.
No. Sure.
So, a short story about it. It's a very real hardware Elysia unit. It's their first unit they entrusted us with to put online. They were actually, let's say, so friendly, or how else to put it, to make a special front plate for us with automation. They're prepared for automation and all that.
Yeah.
It was a nice experience getting this unit online, and especially a nice experience hearing it for the first time, because at least for me, I haven't had the chance to hear this wonderful EQ before, and it's really something special. What they have done with the circuitry is it's not your average off-the-shelf EQ. It's much, much more than that.
Yeah, I think when they talk about it, they say that it's carefully designed and very selected components, and I think that's not only heard like in the
Sonics.
Exactly, it's also felt when you have the unit in your hands. You can see that there's been a lot of effort has been put into the design internally. And when you open one of these babies up, it's like, oh wow, these guys are like really good engineers. I mean, everything is so nicely put together. Everything fits so nicely. Props off to Elysia for a very good example of robust and well-made German engineering. Yeah, it's a sight to behold.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm searching for a picture of it internally. Oh, here they are. Just maybe to send one to Ziga.
Yep.
So that he can put it on the screen so that you can all see it. Did you get it?
Maybe just excuse me for a couple of moments.
Yeah. You can just download it from there, yeah.
Oh, come on. So here it is.
Yeah. So, as a sort of proof, let's say, that we actually do have one. It's not a plugin. It's not a Brainworks plugin. It's the real deal. Sent by Elysia to us to put online. There will actually, we're talking about it with them, and I think we will manage to do it in a week or two. There will be a joint press release, and you will probably find it in some print magazines as well. This information that, Elysia is working with us to put the music queue online so that you guys can test it and see whether or not it's a unit that you want in your life. And I think it is a unit you want in your life.
I definitely do.
Online or like buying it. It's definitely something special. All right, there's a question. When online mixing will be available for minimum 20 channels on Mix Analog? Do we know how many channels we have on the Summing mixer?
24.
24. So 24 channels will be available, I hope, somewhere end of summer, beginning of autumn.
Well,
hopefully.
I'm a bit, let's say, trying to
I'm
be
optimistic.
a realist. Yeah, but I would say if we manage to put it online end of summer, I would say autumn or maybe start of winter.
No.
If it happens sooner, we'll all be very, very happy mixing
We'll please the
engineers.
sponge.
Yeah. So yeah, it's in the pipeline, but it requires quite a big investment in new converters, and some portions of it still have to be built. So yeah, a couple of units are in the line before it, but it's coming.
There are a few ways you guys can help. One of them is to let us know what kind of converters you'd like to see. Just so, if everybody is okay with, I don't know, RME, then, that cuts our budget for converters, because we were thinking more like, I don't know.
Yeah, at the moment, let's say a very good candidate turned out to be the Merging Horus.
Yeah, that's an interesting unit.
Yeah.
And expensive.
Expensive
In
unit.
a good way, though. In a good way. You get something for that money.
Mm.
It's quite a beast. So you can help by just letting us know what kind of summing you'd like in terms of like what kind of DA is still acceptable to you. And you can definitely help just by letting us know that we're doing a good job by either subscribing or buying tokens. Now, I say this on every webinar, but it's true. The more we know that we are actually going to make money with this, the easier it is for us to accelerate the investment into new units. So definitely, okay. Yeah, I think we just answered that, but the delay is kind of large between what we say here and what is happening in the chat.
Yeah.
So
just in case if you're thinking about just being able to listen to more than one stereo track at a time, not necessarily passing all through analog gear.
Yeah, that's easier.
Yeah, that's probably coming much sooner than autumn this year.
I think in software terms, like we know that we wanted to bypass first.
Yep.
And then we would definitely like to do the order of the units so that you can change the order, for example, in the mastering rack. The next thing after that, for me at least, would be the ability to pick and choose units to go with, so that you could say, I'd like to use an Elysia EQ and a Better Maker limiter and nothing else, or maybe I would like everything in the Rec 1 except for the Poltex or something, because they're tubular. That way you wouldn't have any tubes in if you're into music like that. So after that, I think a software mixer, like having 20 tracks up mixed in software, but one of them going through hardware, that's that would be the thing after those 3 features. So that would be the 4th thing in software that we would be doing.
Yeah. So until the end of summer, most probably already up.
Yeah. It seems so. And this actually goes right into what we've been doing now for the past couple of days. Yeah. So I'm sure if you have been using Mix Analog for more than a few times, you found out that we do have some stability issues now and then. So you click a play button, nothing happens, or you get somewhere and you just see a gray screen. It's refreshing, but nothing's actually happening. Those are due to a software component that we used to get like online. We didn't develop it ourselves, but to accelerate development, we got it from someone else. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that well, but we found out about it when we had quite a few users already. And it was a bit late to change everything to accommodate something else. So we just had to suck it up. We just had to, roll with the punches. We knew that a few sessions are going to be not perfect, but you can't have perfect all the time. So, we opted for the brave thing and let you guys use it so you could use it before it was like 100% rock solid. Now, we finally found some, enough development time to take away from other stuff that we could replace that component. So now it's replaced. At least a big part of it is. And now, hopefully, stability will go up and you will see much less of those kinds of errors. So that's the idea. As always, when you replace things that are so core to the whole software, there are bound to be new bugs and new problems, but hopefully we'll iron those out in a week. So bear with us as we do this transition and report all of the bugs. And if at some point, your session doesn't work as you expect or something, just write me in the chat and I'll definitely make sure that you get your mat back or find out, what the issue was and fix it as soon as possible. So, yeah. So that was my part of that. Sorry.
Okay. We got another question meanwhile, and it's about the converters in the future. And we are definitely thinking about, let's say, separating the service into two, let's say, not completely separate, but conceptually separate parts. And one would be for mixing and coloring purposes. This is where the mixer is coming in later this year, and maybe units like the tube saturator, some more quirky cues, and more of that. And another part is going to be strictly for stereo mastering purposes. And in this part, that's going to be very mastering oriented. We are definitely thinking about getting 2 or 3 different stereo AD and DAs to incorporate into the system. So you will not be only able to choose the gear you're going to be using on your material, but also the conversion.
Yeah, exactly. And then actually, there's a question now: are we going to specialize in all mastering in one? I think the question is mastering going to be like the core thing we do? And I think it kind of segues good into what you've been talking about.
Yeah,
which is,
in a way.
If you ask any mastering engineer, just like a truly professional mastering engineer, they have very strong opinions about ADDA conversion.
Yeah.
And we're giving you the burls. The burls are a great choice. They sound nice. They're very forgiving. You can drive them quite hot, and they won't be distorting. They will be just saturating, and then there's a smooth curve to them. But it's not a sound everyone likes. So, like with gear, like we have right now, at least 2 different kind of compressors, many different types of EQs. We definitely want to give you the choice of different kinds of conversion, so that when you're thinking about doing mastering, you can really go very deep into the system and say, I want these converters and these EQ and this compression in this particular order. So that's something that we want to do hopefully this year. like most of the other components of that freedom to choose, we've already been talking about. So freedom to choose different units, to choose the order in which they're processing and stuff like that. But additionally to all of that, we also want you to choose the converters that you use. So that's something that's also on the menu, so to speak. Yeah.
And if you're still with us, Charaka and who was also asking Nicholas, if you're still with us on YouTube, please let us know what conversion would you like to see on our system, because we definitely keep an eye on all the nice boxes that come to the market. So we do know about quite a few of the converters that are popular amongst mastering engineers right now, but we might have missed some. So please let us know what would be your choice for mastering converters in and out. So we would be able to gauge our audience on what suits you best.
It's gauge, but yeah.
Gauge, sorry. Not a native
speaker. You gouge eyes out.
Okay.
So we don't want to gouge our customers. Yeah. There's another question by Nicholas. It's just mid-side. And it's actually, thank you, a nice question, because we are not very far away from doing that, right? I think we talked about it in the previous 2 webinars, maybe even. But
might be number 5,
something like that. Yeah. But let's say that you have a compressor, and this compressor is a stereo compressor. It has 2 channels, and right now the way we use them in mix analog is we feed the left channel into the left one, the right channel into the right one, and then out comes the left and the right channel, right? So going forward, we were thinking like, okay, we have different kinds of compressors, we have different types of EQs, but a lot of them would be just so much more useful if we could do mid-side or dry-wet blending with them. And so that's why Ziga did a design of his own of a mid-side encoding and decoding matrix and dry-wet parallel compression mixer. That you can just put in front of any other compressor or EQ, and it will do those 2 functions. It will add those 2 functions to the existing compressor.
Yeah, it's kind of a small add-on matrix that just encapsulates.
It goes around the existing one. Yeah.
Practically any dual mono device.
Mm-hmm. So it could also be reverb or something. Bad idea, but
whatever.
You could do it.
Anything that has 2 channels and does not have its own wet and dry and mid-side capability can be upgraded to MS and dry wet with this add-on board. I think that this is going to be quite a nice extension of our existing gear.
And to put it in perspective, it's been now in development for a few months, and I think we completed the PCBs, so the printed circuit boards, also quite some time ago. Now they are already tested, as far as I know, and now the only thing that's missing is the enclosure.
Yeah.
So we just need to put it in a box and write the software for it, and then you'll be able to use it within Mix Analog. So how it will work within Mix Analog, the idea is to put a frame around each of the compressors and EQs that will have this option installed, and then you will have a mid-side left-right toggle button there and a knob to turn just for the dry-wet control. So to put it even more concretely, for example, the Pultex, you'll be able to use them in mid-side, and for a Fairchild or a VCA, you'll be able to use it in dry-wet, mid-side, all the other ways. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make so much sense to do EQs dry-wet, but the circuitry will be there, but
the functionality is probably going to be turned off.
But if you really need it, you should just let us know.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some use cases that we didn't think about. Yeah, it is a parallel circuit. So Nicholas asked, yeah, if it's a parallel circuit, yeah. So you could, with this add-on board, we call it the sidecar, because it's like on the motors, you know, that you have a little sidecar next to the motorbike, and this one actually can do the dry-wet blending, and that's actually a parallel circuit. So you can take, I don't know, 10% of the compressed signal and 90% of the uncompressed signal, and you can have the sound of the, for example, of the really like hard compressed room, but all of the dynamics still intact. So there's a lot of breathing going on behind the room, but there's also all of the dynamics still intact. So
maybe we can ask straight away one question about what is your preference for doing the parallel compression? So is it the mix knob? So you just dial in the percentage ratio of compressed versus uncompressed signal, or would you rather see separate faders or knobs for each? So for dry signal and for fully compressed signal, so you can add in the compressed signal without diminishing the volume of the dry signal, because we are still deciding on how to make the user interface for that, and we still haven't made our mind up about if it's going to be a mix knob for percentage or two separate knobs or faders for dry and for wet. So if you're watching this, please let us know what would be your preference, so we can design the interface that better fits the majority.
Yeah. So yeah, if there will be any more questions, we'll answer those. But otherwise, we have left one of the sweetest, at least for us personally. I guess.
I don't understand a word of it, but
that's
you'll
true.
see.
So what I have in front of me here is a magazine. It's a new magazine called Frequenz. It's in Danish by Struer, the City of Sound, which is the city where we are actually right now, at the Sound Hub Accelerator. And they are making this magazine to showcase the lives, I guess, and work of professional sound, I guess, entrepreneurs, let's say entrepreneurs. So they have made a full feature of us. So here's the first page. And more importantly, because there's both of us here, the second one, oops, that's actually the other hand, over here. Yeah. So we're in print. That's amazing. We made history.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be appreciated.
Yeah, sure.
The interviewer was super nice, and from what I understood of the interview, it's actually quite funny. So if you do get yourselves, if you do get your hands on Frequenz, I believe it will be distributed around Denmark at least. Get it, you know, and read it. Tell us what it says, because we don't know exactly. Oh, we have a visitor.
We have a visitor.
We have a visitor. Who are you? Oh, unknown visitor. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I don't know, what should I say?
The truth?
The truth. So I'm Gabriela. Hi everyone, and I'm a co-founder of this topic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I pushed this guy over here to start all this, and now he's doing amazing things. And
yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
So as Gabriela said, you know, she's the, let's say, the reason that we actually exist, not only in my head, but actually as a company. It was amazing. 6 years or something ago, 7 years, a good time ago, is when we started this whole how to control analog gear digitally. And then that took a lot of time to do, because it was just so hard to get something that sounded neutral. But I don't want to steal your spotlight, so
no worries.
What are your favorite hobbies?
Oh, so we're doing an interview?
I guess.
Sure.
Music, all kinds of music, I guess.
Yeah? You like listening to music?
I like going to concerts, I like listening to music. I like terrorizing people in studios, but I don't get much opportunity
to do that
anymore.
Do you know where's my studio?
No, I haven't been there yet.
Then you
I can
cannot
show you.
terrorize me.
I can show you exactly where it is. And I had something else. I forgot.
You wanted to ask me how I'm enjoying here in Denmark.
You can say that. Are you enjoying your time here in Denmark?
Oh yeah, Denmark is awesome. But now these guys are doing the webinar, so I got some job to do, to enroll in the workshops and discuss things about onboarding and making the app.
Things.
Making the app even more awesome for you, for you guys for using it.
I know what I wanted to say. If you like pestering people in their studios, maybe we should make an app for that. So that you can download Gabriela into your phone, and then when someone's pissing you off in the studio, you just open the app and she'll yell at them.
Well, I'm sure the guys who are listening will let us know in the comments if they need that.
Let us know if you need that. Seriously, we can do that.
Okay.
All right, I'll let you guys.
You let us finish.
Yeah, I'll let you finish unless you had anything else.
Actually, we have one more question.
Right. We do?
So we can answer that. And
Perfect.
it's about...
All right.
Enjoy.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So the question was, is there a natural high-frequency roll-off in analog circuitry? There is always some kind of natural roll-off in the analog circuitry, because no
circuit can actually go to
so
gigahertz or something. I mean, not audio circuits.
No electronic circuits can go as high to transmit light. So there you have it. This is the highest roll-off point you can get. But in all actuality, seriously, most of audio units roll off at 80K, 60K, some of them maybe to 100K. The super analog stuff from solid state logic goes, I think they brag about going up to 200K.
That's hard to pull off, though.
Yep.
Just so you know, that's hard.
Yeah, that's
I know
that's
it sounds like
achievement.
arbitrary, like 200K, but can't we all hear to 20K? So how is 200K hard? It is hard. It's very hard.
But most of the time it's about getting the balance right between your bandwidth and the stability of the whole circuitry, because the higher the bandwidth you have, the more you are prone to interferences from all kinds of radio signals flying around. So you have to think about shielding and intermodulation distortion in all your nonlinear elements and so on. So yeah, most of the gear has high roll-off, but in the vast majority of analog units, it's well above
what you
20K.
hear. Yeah, it's very much above. I'm trying to find a analysis that we did of the Elysia music cue, because we actually, when we were designing the circuits for Elysia, so they talk about this in their own description of the music cue, that they don't have any chips inside. They just use transistors and resistors and capacitors.
It's all
and so
discrete circuitry.
It's all discrete, exactly. It's all discrete circuitry. And so usually when you have discrete circuitry in audio, that means that you usually have a very high bandwidth. And so we were slightly worried that maybe our control circuitry will interfere with that. So we made measurements to confirm that we don't. But I'm having a hard time to find the graph, but I think it extends well over 100K.
Oh.
So it goes at about 100 kilohertz or maybe 120.
So how did we measure that?
We measured that, I don't know how, but we did.
Okay.
So
I trust our, at least Elvis, I know it's...
yeah,
if he was around,
the
it was...
measurements, yeah. So
it was done properly.
So anyway, let's see if there are any more questions.
Nope, that doesn't look like it.
All right. So thank you so much for spending the time with us, and we had a very nice time. Lots of laughs were had. So catch you in 1 week. It's still going to be here in Denmark, right? Yeah, it's going to be here in Denmark. Yeah. So catch you in 1 week, and hopefully we'll have more wonderful news to share. Do give Mixanalog a try now again for stability stuff. It should be improved. So if you had problems before, maybe they're gone now. And maybe there are new problems that we should be made aware of. And we'll fix those, promise. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next week. Bye.
See you, bye-bye.